Okay, there are two important videos when it comes to voiding a check. This one, voiding a check without a closed period. This is going to be a fast one. And then please make sure to watch void a check in a closed period. It's a lot more in-depth, a lot more detailed, but it's very important to understand the difference. Okay, so voiding a check, what does that mean? So we've written a check, we made a mistake on it, we spilled some water on it, we did something wrong, it got shredded on accident, whatever it is. We need to void the check. So in this video, we're going to talk about voiding the check in the current period, right? So what does that mean? So in accounting, generally, we have periods that we close our books. The majority of companies close their books at the end of a month or at the end of a year, calendar year, right? December 31st. That's the majority of companies. Some companies have fiscal years, which means that they close maybe June 30th or July 31st is their close, and their start of the year is the first of the month following that. But they still have their monthly closes. There are some companies out there that also have, 13-week months or something like that, 4-week months, so that they actually close after 4 weeks instead of 31 days or 30 days, etc. Okay, so a closed period, we're going to void a check without a closed period. Why you want to, if you're voiding a check, you only want to do it in the current period, because otherwise it's going to affect your financials going backwards, and you don't want to do that. So let's talk about what that means. So I'm going to go into write a check and find a check that I want to void. So let's choose this one. So I have made a payment here for $32.05, and it was made on 12/18/2020. Now the sample file thinks it's it's December 2020, so I'm in the current period, so I'm okay. The other way to know if you're in a current period, right, is hopefully you are using under preferences and accounting, we have our closing date password, right? So once you finish the previous month, so if I was done with November, I would set the closing date to say closing date is set November 30th, 2020, because that way if I try to post or void or do anything prior to that date, it'll give me a warning. Okay. All right, but this is in a current period. So how do I void it? Right now, what this transaction does is it's removing $32.05 from my checking account, and it posted that against an expense for my business. When I void it, I can come up here under delete and select void. So why would we want to void a check versus delete a check? So deleting a check, it'll still show up in the system on the audit trail here, right? Or on the voided deleted transaction report, but it won't be in the system as a reminder visibly, right? Like I won't be able to look through my checking account and see a voided check. The reason we want to void it is to leave it in there. So what it does is, as soon as I hit void, notice a couple things that happen. The check number still stays in there. So when I go look at my checking account and I say, I'm looking at my reconciliations, I say 11/3/44 cleared, 11/3/46 cleared. What happened to 11/3/45? Right? You want to be paying attention to things like that, because you don't want a check floating around out there for somebody to potentially use. So by voiding it, it leaves it in there as 11/3/45, and it sticks it as a $0 amount, and it voids the transaction. So again, what does this result in the background? Before, this check took money out of our bank account, and now that we voided it, it's not taking any money out of our bank account. The money is now back in our bank account, that $32.05. It is not posting to the expense, okay? But when I save this transaction, then it is going to automatically check it off to be marked cleared, so I don't have to remember to check it off during the reconciliation. But it's still going to be in there so that I can, again, remember what happened to check 11/3/45. Oh, that's right, I had to void that check. And you can put in notes here, void payment not needed, or whatever it is. Okay, so again, that's voiding a check without having a closed period in your current period. That would be the easiest way to do it.